This is the Polestar 3, an intriguing all-new large luxury SUV and only the second model to come to Australia from the Chinese-owned Swedish brand.
It looks pretty svelte, but looks alone are not going to make this big, expensive EV a commercial success, which is why Polestar insists that high levels of performance will be its calling card.
Before we explore what's marketing fluff and what's the truth, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think of the new Polestar 3. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Onward!
Polestar has copped a lot of flack since it posted a huge operating loss in 2023, before Volvo confirmed it would divest itself of some of its stake in the high-performance brand it acquired in 2015, which now sits under the stewardship of parent company Geely.
The next few model launches will therefore be crucial not just to its bottom line, but potentially to the company's long-term viability.
The Polestar 3 might only be the brand's second global model, but it's also the biggest and most expensive Polestar to date. But it's the smaller and cheaper Polestar 4, arriving mid-2024, that could be the brand's do-or-die vehicle, a Tesla Model Y rival that will most certainly be the Swedish company's best seller.
Confusingly, the Polestar 3 is a bigger and more expensive proposition than the $80,000 Polestar 4 mid-sized luxury SUV. And so this big Bertha will rival vehicles like the BMW iX, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV, and the Audi Q8 e-tron. On face value, the price range of between $130,000 and $140,000 sounds a bit exy for this SUV. But when you consider most large European luxury electric SUVs retail for this much or more, it actually doesn't sound too bad. However, once these launch editions are all snapped up, the price of regular models is expected to rise.
The vehicle and battery warranties are fairly standard, but Polestar's complimentary 5-year service plan is class-leading, and its 2-year service intervals attractive.
The big Polestar 3 is equipped with dual e-motors of the permanent magnet synchronous type, and this is normally where I would show you how cool the engine looks if I can open that boot with my gloves on, but obviously there's no engine here. The motors are on the axles, but you do get a little frunk. You've got 34 litres of space in here, which isn't huge, but it's better than no frunk at all.
The torque split is rear wheel biased, and the rear motor does the heavy lifting with a dual clutch pack designed to deliver quicker and more effective torque vectoring and therefore enhanced agility. At the same time, the rear motor can be completely decoupled to improve battery efficiency.
But this car's key characteristics are all performance-based, and this vehicle will do the 0 to 100 km/h benchmark sprint in just 4.7 seconds, which ain't hanging about. But in EV terms, it's not super duper fast. It's worth remembering that the Tesla Model X Plaid can do that same sprint in just 2.6 seconds.
The battery capacity is a huge 111 kilowatt hours gross, and it has a bi-directional charging functionality. Range is claimed to be more than 600 kilometers with regular models, dropping to 560 kilometers with the performance pack.
Ever been to IKEA? Well, this is nothing like that, except in one way. It's all very minimalist. Most of the controls have been moved to the screen. So yes, you've got a volume control here, a couple of stalks, window controls, and that's about it. There are steering wheel controls here, which are context sensitive. So they're used to bring the steering wheel in and out and do several other operations. But I do like this pared back look and feel in the cabin.
Pretty much all car systems are controlled through this 14.5-inch touchscreen, and if you've used a Tesla or Volvo before, you'll feel right at home. The car comes with all the expected items, including several apps that are native to the Android operating system.
The slimline digital instrument panel looks great. The visuals are really sharp and bold, and another really cool feature is when you adjust the steering wheel, go like this, the digital instrument display is never obscured by the top of the steering wheel because it's attached to the steering column. It's a little thing, but it's really effective.
Being a Swedish design, the Polestar 3 is brimming with safety tech.
Polestar says the reason it didn't make a 7-seater like its sister from another mister, the Volvo EX90, is because this car had to remain true to its sporty roots. And by chucking extra seats in the back, doesn't make it sporty. The seats you do get though in the back are really comfortable. There's a bit of contouring, the leather quality again is really nice, and legroom and headroom is surprisingly good, especially headroom. This big panoramic glass roof is beautiful, but it's interesting because the body is so narrow when you look at it from the outside, but when you sit in here, it's surprisingly roomy. Amenity is very good, dual USB-C ports, digital display for the heating and cooling controls, lights here, and you've also got an incredible Bowers & Wilkins sound system, 26 speakers. In the front seat, you've got speakers in the headrest, they're just everywhere. And the subwoofer in the back even sucks cold air in from outside to improve its bass driving capability. Not bad. So you've got a power operated tailgate. You can also do the gesture control kick underneath. And this is a large SUV and the boot doesn't feel especially large. The boot floor is quite high, but look, it is wide and it is deep. And there is a bonus. Under here, there's an extra 90 litres of boot space, and the floor folds like that to be a handy little divider, which I really like.
Boot amenity is pretty good with this elastic securing band, bag hooks, a 12-volt socket, and adjustable rear suspension to make loading a little bit easier. Plus, there's 60/40 split folding rear seats.
So far, this big Scandinavian has made a positive impression, and while driving on ice is probably not very relevant to most Aussie buyers, it is going to tell me whether this is a true athlete or just another humdrum family SUV. Cue the driving music. First impressions, this is the real deal. The direct steering and the clever suspension and that special dual clutch rear end with the torque vectoring. You can steer it on the throttle. It's really lively and it doesn't feel like a 2.6 ton SUV. It feels more like a little hot hatch or something, and it's just beautifully precocious. Whee!
A big part of the EV's excellent chassis dynamics comes down to the twin clutch pack on the rear axle, which works with the rear E-motor to transfer torque between the left and right rear wheels. It can send up to 100% torque to just one wheel, which fosters this controllable oversteer characteristic.
I've driven my fair share of vehicles on snow and ice, and this one is a little bit different. It's tenacious, it loves hanging the tail out, but it's really predictable as well, and it sort of helps you have fun. It doesn't hinder you or rebuke you. And if this is a taste of what's to come, I think Polestar is definitely on the right track. In terms of refinement, the Polestar 3 is surprisingly good. There's 3 different suspension settings, and obviously you've got the air suspension, dual chamber, along with your adaptive dampers, and together they conspire to deliver a good range between soft and firm. This is actually really bumpy on this frozen lake, so I've got it on the softest setting, which is called standard, and it's beautifully smooth, and the car itself is quite quiet as well. You can jack it right up to firm and you really feel the bumps. Another thing I really like are those huge 400mm Brembo front disc brakes, and together with a very clever ABS system, you can come into a corner a little hot, keep holding the brake while steering, and the car maintains its line. It keeps tracking through the corner. You don't push wide, you don't slip out. It's an incredibly forgiving vehicle, and I think a lot of people are going to like that.
To sum up, the Polestar 3 could be a genuine AMG and M-basher, something the Polestar 2 doesn't quite live up to. It feels as though the brand's product plan is on the right trajectory because this SUV is fast and fun and ultra engaging to drive at full bore on snow and ice. That rear torque vectoring system, a highlight for sure. The Polestar 3 is an intriguing new SUV in many ways. Granted, it won't be a bestseller for the brand, and the lack of 7 seats may narrow its appeal.
But it is remarkably athletic. It reveals a certain performance intent that wasn't there with the Polestar 2, and for something so big and heavy, it is utterly engaging and fun to drive. If this is a sign of what's to come from Polestar, then the future is looking very bright indeed. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Can Polestar carve out a niche for itself in this brave new EV world?